The Christians censor, just like today. They censor, they lie. The only surviving ancient texts are what the Christians wanted us to read, and they still have no documents of Jesus existing. They even forge shit like Josephus and others, the letter to Lentulus and many others. They're lying, evil, despicable henchmen and foot soldiers for the God of Israel. Let me read from The Darkening Age, Catherine Nixie. The savage tyrant was Christianity from almost the very first years that a Christian emperor had ruled in Rome in AD 312. Liberties had begun to be eroded, and then in AD 529, a final blow had fallen. It was decreed that all of those who labored under the, quote, insanity of paganism would no longer be allowed to teach. There was worse. It was also announced that anyone who had not been baptized was to come forward and make themselves known at the holy churches immediately or face exile. And if anyone followed themselves to be baptized, then slipped back into their old pagan ways, they would be executed. Christianity took over the Roman Empire and started executing anybody that wouldn't worship the King of the Jews. They could not worship their old gods. And then we'll go to it says, the most virtuous thing a man can do, according to Christians, the Bible itself demanded it in Deuteronomy, ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fires. And the Christians will share memes like this, celebrating Jewish terrorism against European history and European greatness. The Christians celebrating along with the Jews, doing the work of the Jews for them. They couldn't have done it themselves, but they could create a religion, controlled op religion for the Christians, and get them to demonize their own ancestors and cultures and replace it like Antifa terrorist thugs, like the original Bolshevik Revolution. The Christians of the Roman Empire listened and they obeyed. Now here, let's to destroy the altars of paganism. Now here we go. You guys have heard Christians, they go, oh, the church fathers, you hated the Jews. John Chrysostom, you should hear what he said about the Jews. Oh, well, did you hear what he said about Gentiles and about pagans? It's far worse. Far from mourning the loss, Christians delighted in it. John Chrysostom said, of the Greeks, the writings of the Greeks have all perished and been obliterated. That's a Christian celebrating the destruction of Western civilization. He warned in another theme, John Chrysostom, quote, where is Plato? Nowhere. Where is Paul, or Saul the Pharisee, in the mouths of all? Yeah, this John Chrysostom is a piece of shit. Those elaborately decorated fables have been utterly banned. We banned all of the non-Jewish beliefs. I wonder who that benefited. Much was preserved of the ancient world. Much more was destroyed. It has been estimated that less than 10% of all the classical literature has survived into the modern era. The classical world was quite literally being erased. And who erased it? The Christians. And set us into a dark age of Jew worship. John Chrysostom's writings said that contact with women of all kinds was something to be feared and, if possible, avoided altogether. There's your incel, virgin, loser attitude. He also advocated that Christians spy on other Christians and report them to the church, and to break into their homes and try to find pagan altars and stuff. This is page 220, The Darkening Age. In AD 356, less than 50 years after Constantine had announced that no man whatever should be refused complete toleration, the death penalty was instituted for those who made sacrifices to the pagan gods. In 407, the old marriage ceremonies were forbidden. it wasn't like Christianity started and all of these Gentiles willfully converted. It was imposed on them from the top down. The Jews got to the leadership, they got to the positions of power, enforced Christianity by the sword, by threat of punishment on the masses of everybody that were mostly illiterate and didn't even have the Bible to read for themselves. And then the Roman Empire went to war, the northern wars against the Gauls and the Vikings, and then bought off and co-opted their kings and leaders to force them to convert, who forced all of their empires to convert. This is the real history of Christianity, and it's fucking atrocious. You don't hate these people enough, what they've done. Pagan festivals and sacrilegious rites would be executed for doing this. John Chrysostom jubilantly observed their decline. John Chrysostom wrote, "The tradition of their forefathers has been destroyed. The deep-rooted custom has been torn out. The tyranny of joy and the accursed festivals have been obliterated just like smoke." Chrysostom came up with the solution. Christian congregations were to spy on each other. It's like the Bolshevik Revolution in the Soviets. He said, "Even if we must enter into the fallen one's homes, let us not shrink back from it." These people are evil psychopaths doing the dirty work of the Jews and being scapegoated by the Jews and blamed for it. Yeah, Apatia, beaten, raped, skinned alive by mobs of smelly, dirty, poor, stupid Christians. Oh, it's disgusting.